welcome to the program. Something a bit different in our series of KBB Bootcamp specials. I'm going to take you through the 10 most important things you need to do to prosper in 2012. If people thought 2011 was tough, they ain't seen nothing yet. 2012 is shaping up to be one of the most uncertain business and economic environments that we've seen in a generation. I know it's all a state of mind, which means we have to be positive going into 2012. So it's important to project a positive mindset to your customers and staff, one that instills confidence in your business's ability to survive and use 2012 as a year for building a solid foundation. Remember that lots of fortunes and business success stories have been made during tough economic times. All right, let's get started and count down the 10 things you need to do to make 2012 a winning year. Number 1, you have to focus on the business. Yep, it all starts with you. You're the most important asset in your business. You set the culture of the business, you motivate staff, you attract customers. This year, you have to really focus on those key areas of the business. But I reckon we need to be a bit harder and a lot more driven to cope with the challenges ahead. I recently sat down with Jeff Taylor, the founder of recruitment giant Monster.com. He had a fascinating challenge for Australian business owners.
Push the idea a little bit harder. And I think there's a little bit of a thought of, I think I've done it pretty well, and maybe I should pull back now. And I think that it would only take another push down on the accelerator, and you might find that there would be some big breakthrough.
So you're really saying that you don't think Australians have that killer instinct that once they get reasonable success, they back off and they do other things or just live the good life rather than take it further?
I'd replace killer instinct maybe with the entrepreneurial win, and the fact that the prize is huge, and you can get to all different plateaus. There's the concept of the idea spiral, where you spiral up and then it plateaus, but then you spiral again. And I think maybe, in my experience, the Australians that I've met that are amazing could just crank it up one more notch.
After the break, we continue counting down our top 10 steps to winning in 2012. This business building block is brought to you by NAB.
There's no doubt that life as a small business owner is challenging. Confidence levels have fallen, activity has slowed, and cash flow remains a challenge for many businesses. Despite these challenges, NAB is optimistic and committed to supporting small businesses. We recognise the potential and the opportunity that lies within this sector. After all, it's the engine room of the economy. As we head into a new year, here are a few tips that you need to keep in mind to ensure your business is well placed for the year ahead. Firstly, review your business plan. Having an up-to-date business plan will help you focus, crystallise your thoughts, and identify priorities, saving both time and effort down the track. Update your cash flow forecast. A cash flow forecast can help you predict upcoming cash surpluses or shortages to help you make the right decisions. You also need to make sure you're collecting debts quicker, as this will help your cash flow and will assist you in meeting your commitments. Staying on top of these collections is a good practice for any healthy business. You also need to make sure you keep on learning. It's important to keep working on your own capability to run your business. Set yourself goals to add new skills. And finally, review your bank. Your banker should be like a business partner, taking the time to understand your business, your industry, your personal and your business aspirations. If your current banker doesn't do it, then it might be time for a change. I hope these tips are useful in helping you manage challenges and opportunities over the coming year.
For more information about these tips and for free business tools, visit nab.com.au/smallbusiness or speak to a NAB small business banker on 13 30 86. Back to the countdown. Number 2 in our 2012 survival guide, play to your strengths. It doesn't matter whether it's your product lines, your staff or your customers, you need to be concentrating on the best in all areas. If there are weaker product lines that have been dragging the business down, get rid of them. If there are staff members who aren't pulling their weight and are disruptive to your culture, get rid of them. If there are customers that just aren't worth having because they're so disruptive or don't pay on time, get rid of them. It's so important to have a lean, productive and efficient operation on which to build and develop your business around your strengths. Our third top tip for surviving 2012, protect any lines of credit. Access to credit is going to get a whole lot harder as banks cope with uncertainty and their investment losses coming out of Europe. At a recent Christmas party, the boss of one of our big four banks told their top clients, if you've got money to put on deposit, we're going to love you. But if you want a loan, we don't want to know you. Basically, the banks are going to be short of cash to lend this year. The majors get a lot of their funding from other banks and money markets overseas. But this year, those overseas banks will be sitting on big losses from their European investments and adjusting to tighter banking regulations. That means they won't have a lot of spare cash to lend overseas, particularly to our banks. So we're going to see a shortage of credit here at home. Therefore, if you have an overdraft or line of credit, keep it under control, but don't get rid of it, because that may be the only credit you're going to get this year. Tip number 4, be nice to your bank manager. This is an extension of the last tip because from now on, bank managers will not be hosing money at old or new clients like they've been doing over the last 10 years. They're under instructions to go through each client and satisfy the bank's credit department of the financial soundness of their customers. That means it's up to you to keep your bank manager informed on how the business is going. Cindy Batchelor from NAB explains what the banks are looking for.
To stay in good books with your bank, you need to start with a good business plan. So what's your vision? What are your objectives? What are your goals, both personally and professionally? What does success look like? What is your cash flow going to do? Where are your customers going to come from? A very simple business plan is a great place to start. And then you need to talk to your bank. And in talking to your bank, help them understand better what you're actually trying to do. And in doing that, always keep them up to date. Hiding bad news is not a good thing to do.
Tip number 5, focus on getting debtors to pay on time. I've said it before, but now more than ever, it's so vital to focus on debtors. Cash flow is king. When times get tough, debtors get slower in paying because they want you to become their banker. The flow-on effect is that you don't have money to pay your creditors and suppliers. So make sure all invoices are sent out on time and make sure customers stick to your terms of credit. It's sometimes better to get rid of a bad paying customer than suffer them for the sake of improving your sales line. Getting money in the door quickly is going to be a key to success this year. Our debt collection commando, Anthony Igra, has some great advice on avoiding cash flow hell.
The most common mistake that business owners make is staying in the hope and pray zone for far too long. That is, they hope they'll get their invoices paid and they pray they can survive if the invoices are not paid. Okay? Unfortunately, this zone is informal. You're just talking to your debtor every few days, maybe every week with a fax or an email or a phone call, trying to get paid without having a fight. Now, the problem is that your debtor suffers no pain for just talking to you or not answering or ignoring you or talking to you, whatever it is. Now, we've have clients all the time who will spend 4 months, 6 months, 12 months in that zone just trying to get paid softly and only decide to move to proactive recovery after 12 months.
After the break, the countdown continues as we look at stress testing your business. Welcome back. Let's continue the countdown. And tip number 6, stress test your business. No one really knows how bad things will get in Europe over the next 12 months. A collapse in the Eurozone will at the very least lead to a mild recession in the European area, which is the biggest trading bloc in the world. A worst case scenario is that Europe goes into a full-blown depression. Now, the jury is still out on whether the European politicians can get their act together and save the euro. All banks stress test their loan book for a downturn in the economy. You should be stress testing your business in the same way. That means having a realistic budget for the next year, but also having a worst case scenario budget in case things go sour. Have an action plan of what needs to be done in a worst case scenario. Better to be prepared for global shocks than to be caught unawares. Tip number 7 for winning in 2012, focus on tax. This year should be about making tax your friend and not your foe. I'm not talking about diddling the books, don't even think about it. Tax avoidance is just not worth it and the penalties are huge. What I'm talking about is paying the right amount of tax, making sure you plan for those tax payments and understand your tax options. Michael DiPaolo is the tax guru at Deloitte's and has some great advice.
Small businesses should focus on a couple of things. They should focus on their expenses in 2012, and they should also be focusing on their top line revenue. But let's go back to expenses. The main area that most people have expenses in small business relate to their wages and subcontractor costs. They need to make sure that they have the right arrangements in place and are meeting all their obligations if they're employees or subcontractors. Now, the ATO is looking very closely at a lot of arrangements which may be employee arrangements but are, at the moment, it's suggested they are subcontractor arrangements, and therefore these employers may have hidden obligations regarding super guarantee and pay-as-you-go obligations that they haven't met. So my advice there is to understand exactly what the nature of the arrangements are in relation to the people you're using in your business. In that context, there is a really good online tool in the ATO website to allow you to come to a view on whether they are proper subcontractor arrangements and you are outside the scope of superannuation guarantee and pay-as-you-go obligations. I'd suggest you have a look at that. The second thing I would say is that the ATO are becoming more sophisticated with their data matching and also benchmarking. And they have been benchmarking a number of businesses and industries to identify where there may be underreporting of income. In that context, what I'd be saying is you should be making sure all the income is being reported and appropriately recorded in the books of accounts. There have been a number of projects in recent times that have suggested in relation to contractors that they're not reporting all their income. Up to 20% of them are not reporting all their income from data matching and this benchmarking. And also in relation to certain types of business. One project recently identified in the relation to internet sales that maybe not all that income is being reported where there is a traditional business also.
All right, we're down to number 8 in our top 10 tips for winning in 2012. Hire better to employ a great team. You see, the secret to a successful business is a great team. That means hiring the best people and hanging on to your stars. When hiring people, look for skills which complement the team and plug deficiencies. Make sure a successful applicant has the right attitude, will fit the team culture and adds value. Above all, check their references. Once you've found the right people, the challenge is to keep them. Now, it's not necessarily about money. Sure, they want to be paid the market rate, but things like ongoing professional development and a fun and stimulating workplace are just as important. Coming up after the break, our 2012 survival tips focus on making sure you're making the business work for you, not the other way around. This Business in the Spotlight is brought to you by NAB.
I'm Simon Blondell, Owner-Director of Bent Square.
I'm Dennis Barr, a business banker for National Australia Bank on the northern beaches of Sydney, and I'm Simon's banker.
Bent Square is a import and distribution company based on the northern beaches of Sydney. We specialise in importing snow skis and lifestyle clothing. The snow skis that we specialise in are Liberty skis, based out of Colorado in the States. Now, the uniqueness of Liberty skis is that they're the first company to use bamboo, so it's a lightweight material, very responsive and a fantastic product. The clothing lifestyle company that we import is from Vancouver on the west coast of Canada. It's a collaboration of sports of snowboarding, skiing, skating, musicians and artists. Primarily we're a wholesaler, so a lot of the stock is with our retailers throughout Australia, but the actual operation that's here in North Narrabeen is the online sales of the Liberty skis. So the office here really is another distribution point for the online sales. Going from the first year to the second year, where we had a growth of about 200% in sales. So it was that time when we realised we needed financing to cover the stock. And that's when the emails were sent out to NAB, and we got in touch with NAB, and they got back to us very quickly. But we also were in touch with other banks.
Well, I met Simon back in March of last year, and Simon came in looking at a new business venture and brought with him a detailed business plan. And to his credit, the moment that he was in there, I could really feel the passion. In my opinion, it's very important for business customers to have a business banker. It doesn't matter what type of business, what stage they're at, they all have aspirations. To me, it's like working alongside the customer. We also have access to a number of specialists. When dealing with myself, I can cover not only the business side of his business, but also the personal side. The other thing I can do is I can make decisions. Knowing that a lot of them are time poor, I think it's important for me to be able to be very responsive. He knows where I'm coming from, but he knows where I'm going. Yep. And he knows whether, well, we are close to an agreement or not.
There's a bit more
or a
work
little
to do.
bit more work to do, yeah.
I would highly recommend anybody who's getting into business to contact NAB. You know, the personal touch that someone like Dennis as a business banker brings to your company, and to help grow the business has been fantastic. So I look forward to the future and growing our relationship.
To speak to a NAB small business banker, call 13 30 86. Welcome back. Yes, this year is going to present a lot of challenges and you're going to have to work a lot harder, but the business still has to be working for you. So tip number 9, make sure you're building personal wealth. Owning your own business is risky, so you need to be rewarded for that extra risk. Otherwise, you might as well go and work for someone else on a salary. I'm a great believer in building off-business investments. Just like farmers build off-farm income by having another string to their bow, like tourist cabins, all business owners should be building investments away from the actual business. MLC's Gemma Dale has some terrific ideas for you.
So I think there are 4 stages really, and you want to cover all of those 4 stages as often as you possibly can. So the first thing is make sure you're insured. You're protected for all of the eventualities that would ruin your business and might ruin your personal life as well. So there's a whole array of aspects to that. Part of it's protecting assets, so your car, any of your business vehicles, that sort of thing, the actual property that's attached to it that you may own, make sure they're protected. You know, we've had floods, we've had fires, we've had all sorts of things. We know you've got to look after that stuff. But you're your business's biggest asset, you say that all the time. You've got to make sure that you as an individual are covered, for your family's sake, for your own. You might also have employees, people in your business you know you couldn't survive without. You can actually get protection for them, not for their families so their families can survive, that's something they need to look after, but you as a business owner can take out key person protection for them and the contribution they make to your business. So all of those sorts of things you really want to look at and make sure you've got peace of mind that if anything goes wrong, you've got some money coming in to protect you. So get that protection in place. Once you've done that, and we do suggest you do that first and get really good advice about how you structure it, get some cash flow, build it into a buffer so that if things go wrong in your business or things are getting a bit tight, in your personal life you've got another bucket to dip into. You don't want to be dipping into your business cash flow to provide for personal expenses. So build a buffer, 3 to 6 months depending on what sort of industry you're in, keep that there. Third thing, you're going to have sort of medium-term expenses, kids' school fees, taking a holiday, paying down your mortgage. Have strategies for getting all of those things taken care of in the shortest time frame possible. So have some sort of savings strategy for that or a debt reduction strategy. And finally, think about retirement. So it's really easy to forget about retirement or say my business is my super. It really shouldn't be. You want to be thinking about retirement right from a very early age and have some sort of strategy to be planning for that right from the beginning.
My final survival tip for 2012, number 10, maintain a good work-life balance. Yes, it's going to be a tough year, but you can't burn yourself out and run the business into the ground. Staff and customers look to you to be enthusiastic and at your peak all the time. That means taking time to recharge your batteries and ensuring your personal life is happy and stable. It's a horrible combination to have your personal and business life under stress at the same time because they're so closely linked. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our top 10 tips for winning in 2012. Look, it is going to be challenging, so you need all the assistance you can get. Your constant companion should be kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au. The website is updated every day with the very latest tips and small business news. And why don't you join the Business Builders community and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. It's going to be a big year, so get cracking. See you next time.